I think we did it, you guys. I think we found the ugliest piece of Winx Club merch ever made. Hello YouTube and welcome to another video. So, some time ago I wanted to make this video about the oddest or the most surprising Winx Club merch out there. But then I realized that I myself collect a lot of Winx Club merch and I'm not really super picky about it, and I don't really have a leg to stand on criticizing one piece of Winx Club merchandise or the other when I would happily and readily buy most of them. There are pieces of Winx Club merchandising that I am very curious about why they were made or how the decisions were made that resulted in making these dolls. One of them is the Magica Sirena doll line that was exclusively sold in Italy, and that includes these mermaid dolls. And these mermaid characters are very briefly visible in season 3, but I don't think they even have speaking lines. If they do, the speaking lines are like a couple of lines. But I looked at an advertisement for them and I realized they have names. And it made me wonder whether or not they wanted to go further with the Winx Club mermaid storyline, but that feels like a whole other video in itself. But these are the one of the dolls that I always think of, like, why were these made? Like, these characters who barely have a speaking line in the show, why were these dolls made? But at the same time, I myself really like mermaid dolls, and I would not be upset seeing these dolls. I would not be upset having these dolls. I think they're pretty dolls. I don't want to hate on them. I think they're fun. They're really interesting, and maybe I could do a whole other video looking into the whole mermaid universe of Winx Club, which honestly is surprisingly big the more you look into it. And there have been pieces of Winx Club merchandise in the past that I'm not particularly keen on, that I don't particularly like, and that I would pass upon. They can happily exist, they're just not for me. When I was looking into whether or not I would be able to find any Winx Club merchandising in Japan, the only thing I could confidently find were these Q Posket Fate figures. And I did not really like them, and I think if I had gone out of my way to find them, I might have been able to find them, but I decided not to. I don't really personally like them, but I understood that that stems more from the fact that they're not actually Winx Club merchandise, they're Fate the Winx Saga merchandise. They're pretty cute. I think the main issue that I do have with them is that they are Fate ones. I think if they were dolls, like if they were like actual posable with removable outfits, dolls, then I would have been like a little bit tempted to buy them, because I have bought some Fate merchandising. I bought the NYX makeup set for one of my friends, but I did want to buy some of it for me as well, but it sold out. So I was interested for that Fate merchandise, for instance, and I was actively actually looking for it. So if these were, for instance, dolls, I think I would have actually been interested in buying it. But combined with the fact that they weren't really Winx Club, but rather Fate the Winx Saga, and that the design wasn't like my favorite, I didn't go out of my way to try and find them. So this brings us to the Funko Pops that I want to talk about today. A friend of mine already asked for my opinion on them and sent me a link, and I realized I have a lot of thoughts and feelings and opinions on these. Now, I should preface this by saying that I overall prefer dolls over figures, but I do have figures. I have worked in figure sales when I worked for an anime shop, and I do appreciate a good figure as well. It's just that the more a figure is like a doll, the more I tend to like it. Like, my favorite figures are the Nendoroid dolls, which are a sort of mix between a figure and a doll. I don't own any, but I have been very tempted to get some. And I felt I should also mention that regardless of me preferring dolls over figures, I do actually have loads of Winx Club figures as well, and I love them. I love collecting Winx Club figures in general as well as dolls. But I stole these Winx Funko Pops, and I was so compelled to talk about them. If you are a really avid viewer of my channel, you will know that I made a whole short on the Dracula Funko Pop figure, and all the complaints I had then I have about these figures. If you want those figures, please genuinely and honestly and sincerely tell me why you want those figures. Because I, for the life of me, cannot figure out why anyone would want these. I discussed this with a friend group of mine, and the only real answer we both came to was that these are going to be for someone who wants to collect all of the Funko Pops. And the second thing that I thought of myself is that this is going to be someone that is going to want all of the Winx merchandising in the world, just in general. Or maybe all of the Winx figures that have ever been made, for instance. But as I said in the beginning of this video, I'm not someone who's very picky when it comes to choosing my Winx Club merchandise. I have like unopened packs of chewing gum that are licensed to Winx Club merchandise that my friend got for me from a secondhand store that weren't edible at the time that she got them for. And I cherish them because I like having any sort of Winx Club history tidbits. These Funko Pop figures, I am not gonna get them. I'm not gonna get them because I feel like they're so ugly. I think Funko has two really strong things going for it. One, that it that sometimes does figures of characters that no one else does, and does like really unique characters. And the other is cheapness. Funko Pops are pretty cheap. I know that there are like hugely collectible, made out of gold and fancy Funko Pops as well, but generally Funko Pops are pretty affordable and pretty easy to get. So I think these are the two sort of main arguments that work towards them. But I would highly encourage you not to get these figures. And if you want to get these figures, I'm genuinely curious as to why you want to get these figures. I will give them a little bit of credit and talk about what I like in these figures. I like that they have made the fairies flying and they have a little bit of a stand there, and so it seems like they are floating. The stand seems to be transparent, and I like that. And I like that they have gone for the classical fairy forms because these are like the iconic Winx look. And I also like they have given them this little eyelash. I think this makes them a little bit prettier. It's sad that they haven't given them mouths. I know that they have given some Funkos mouths. There are so many gorgeous, gorgeous fashion dolls for Winx Club. Let's take this newest Bloom doll I have here, the Woody Bloom. She has these real fabric clothes. Look how pretty they are, they sparkle. She has posable arms and legs, and I think her arms do actually like bend a little. I was surprised by that. She has movable limbs and you can pose her, and she has real hair that looks nice and shiny, and wings that you can remove. And you could put her on a transparent stand as well. And she would look so pretty. So if you genuinely and also and importantly, like she isn't even wearing a very show accurate outfit, but she looks more like Bloom than this minimalist thing does. And if you want a Bloom in a fairy form, there are so many dolls. So let's talk about the elephant in the room, pricing. And I know Winx Club dolls can be really, really pricey. Like I have made several videos on how expensive Mattel Winx Club dolls have gotten, and I will admit that I have recently discovered this trend that even dolls that aren't Mattel Winx Club, that even dolls that aren't by Mattel have gotten really, really expensive. So Winx Club dolls have gotten really expensive. Winx Club dolls are really expensive, but there are also cheap Winx Club dolls still out there. In fact, let's go to eBay, and eBay is notoriously overpriced and everything. But even if we go to eBay right now, and we have a look at some Winx Club dolls that aren't so old, we can find Winx Club dolls for fairly reasonable prices. Like with just a little search, I found this Vidi Flora, and she has those little wings, and yes, she isn't like hugely show accurate to anything. There are Winx Club dolls available for less than $50 and even less than $20. So really, cheap Winx Club dolls are still very much out there. It's not like you can't get a Winx Club doll at all for lower prices. So I would highly recommend that you do that in case you can't afford like a Mattel Winx Club doll, which is completely understandable. But also, if you really want a Mattel Winx Club doll, scavenge these secondhand sites and secondhand stores and things, and it is possible to find them. I have gotten a few good deals in my time as well. But there are cheaper Winx Club doll alternatives out there as well. So even if you really want Winx Club merchandising, I don't think these Funkos are the best option. Another argument that you may have in favor of getting these is that these are going to be readily available. And I can't really argue against that too well, sadly, because I do think that the ironic and terrible reality might be that these might be one of the few pieces of Winx Club merchandising that are going to be available here in Estonia as well. There are currently no dolls available here, but again, just have a look at secondhand stuff. Now, to be fair, I have never really liked Funkos, but I think my hatred for Funkos came when I read this article about the massive tons and tons of Funkos that are just being filled into landfill that they are throwing away. And in this case, honestly, me even telling you that you shouldn't buy them is almost a futile effort because they are still going to make them and then they're just going to throw away the excess. But I would hope that if they see that people are buying these less and less, they would eventually manufacture them less. Another thing about this series, which I can't even tell you if I'm happy about this or mad about this, is that they only have Bloom, Stella, and Flora. And this is something that Mattel did all the time as well. They would release a series with only 3 fairies. But either this is a sign of worse things to come and them making more of them and eventually making Tekna, Musa, and Aisha as well. Generally, I'm very unhappy when they make a series that only have 3 fairies and not the rest of them. But in this case, I might actually be happy about this because it means that there are less of these things out there. They just don't capture the beauty of fairies. I think as far as Funkos go, they're not the ugliest. And now another thing that I sort of thought about, like why people might prefer these figures over dolls, is that I feel like figures are often viewed as the sort of adult collectible, whereas dolls are viewed as a sort of child's plaything. And I don't agree with that at all. For one thing, there are dolls that are specifically for adult collecting. But I feel like maybe some people feel that way. And in case you feel that way, don't. You really have no reason to feel that way. But if you personally prefer figures over dolls, for whatever reason, then there are better Winx figures out there. For one thing, if you go to the official Winx Club store, they have a whole page dedicated for just figures. And while I still prefer dolls over these figures are much, much better than the Winx Club Funko Pops. And they're cheaper as well. They're nicer, they're more show accurate, and they're cheaper. And you might be telling me, what do you mean? They're like 39 euros. That's not cheaper. But for 39 euros, you get this entire Cosmic collection. You get 6 figures, and all of them are 13 centimeters, which is honestly higher than I expected. Yeah, I thought they would be smaller. There's nothing for scale, so it's hard to tell. Ooh, and they even like they light up. And they have little sparkles. Look how much nicer these are. I'm talking myself into buying them. You get a whole collection of all of the fairies. Their faces seem to be really nicely painted. If you don't like season 8, they have other collections where you get all of the fairies for like 34 euros. And if you're a real big fan of the classical series and you want like a bigger, nicer figure, they have the Enchantic series, and I actually think these figures look so nice. They're big, they're pretty, they're detailed, they look so accurate, and yeah, they have these huge Winx figures. And honestly, I myself have thought about like, why are they making these figures and putting these figures on the official website instead of dolls? Like, I personally wish that they would put some dolls on the website as well, but I think they are doing that from that sense that some people view figures as more of the adult collectible rather than dolls, and dolls are more aimed towards kids. But I do really wish that Rainbow would do like dolls for adult collectors as well. So Rainbow, if you're watching this, do this. give us some more dolls, Rainbow, please. Now, if you wanna comment on this video and say that the worst piece of Winx Club merchandise that Rainbow ever tried to do was the Winx Club NFT, yes, I do in fact agree. But this is the worst piece of physical merchandise. Let me know if you agree with my thoughts here. If you don't, that's fine as well. Let me know why you would want those figures. Or maybe if you want to support local artists, buy Winx Club merch from conventions, from fan artists. That's something that I try to do as well. Or just buy dolls. Dolls are better. Dolls are cooler. Look at her. I have like 6 Bloom dolls and they're all way better than this. And I paid less for one of them than one of these Funkos are gonna be. So yeah, if these Funkos come to Estonia, I promise you, I'm not gonna buy them. If I see them at the store, I might film a short on them. But yeah, I'm not gonna buy them, and I would highly recommend that you don't either. But if you want to buy them, let me know in the comments. What are your reasons? Do you genuinely like these? If you like Winx Club content, I make Winx Club content very regularly now, like usually once a week. And we'll see if I'm able to keep that up or not. But for now, I'm making Winx Club content pretty regularly. So leave a like, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you'd like to see me do in the future. Make sure to subscribe, because then you can see my future videos. Click that little bell icon so that you get notified anytime I post. And I'll see you in another video. Bye!